So we're at that stage of the year where we're planning now for a successful last quarter of the calendar year. So October, November, December, what's that looking like for our business? I thought it might be helpful just to share with you some of the component parts that we use with our clients to help them create good 90-day plans. So firstly, we've got the one-page plan. Now, this is a plan that we are referencing throughout the year because it's something that we set before this year started. So, at the very latest, you'd like to have had a one-page plan by the 31st of December last year for the year ahead. And really what that will have done is laid out on a page, what's the financial ambition? What are the key metrics that we're looking for from a financial point of view? What is it that we are trying to do from a marketing and sales point of view? Then operationally, what changes or what priorities might we have in that area? Again, what are the people priorities that we've got? What do we need to do in order to meet the financial ambition for the year? So that's a plan that lays out the tone of how the year should be. So that's the first thing. Have you got a one-page plan? The second thing that we'll fall into then becomes the cycle of 90-day planning, which is really a subset of that one-page plan. And the way that this might be best understood is it's a little bit like Russian dolls. If you think of the one-page plan being the big Russian doll, and then the subsets, if you like, or the smaller dolls that fit within it, they become like the 90-day plans. When you complete that 90-day plan, you're making progress towards the big doll in this instance. But before we get to 90-day planning, what we're looking to do is do some brain dumps. And again, you're going to be a busy business owner or leadership team member. There's going to be tons of things going through your mind. So you're going to have to be mindful of, okay, what are some of those on the business priorities that we set out at the start of the year that we need to make time for in order to progress? There's also going to be some issues going on in your business right now that need to be attended to. There might also be some ideas that have come up throughout the course of the year that you want to give at least some thought to. So a way of brain dumping everything that's in your mind, because again, the last thing I want you to do is to be thinking in your head, which probably sounds crazy, but I want to get you to put this out on paper. So again, using marketing and sales, operations, finance, and then people, those are good headings to then start getting all your thoughts out in those aspects of the business. And at that point, what we can start to do is look at everything that's going on, and we can start to make some calls on priorities. So what are some of the things? Are there some issues that are actually, if left unattended to, become risks to the business? Well, some of those things might need to get put into the 90-day plan. What are some of the on the business things that we need to do? Do we need to kind of invest some more time and effort and money into that website, for example, or recruiting that new team member? What are some of those things that we need to do that have to go into the plan? Now, this is not your to-do list. This is a plan for you and your team for the business. So the other thing I would maybe kind of counsel at this point is to avoid just new shiny objects, the new ideas. Anything that feels like a good idea when you come to this point, I would tend to suggest a little bit of a pause between the idea in your head and then getting busy doing it. So maybe implement another page somewhere in your planning called like a next quarter ideas board. And that's because often what happens is like what feels like a good idea right now, when left with a bit of a gap, you then look at it and say, do you know what, it felt like a good idea, but actually I'm glad we didn't spend much time on that. Imagine the spin that you could send your team in if you started just lobbing in lots of new ideas every quarter. So again, be kind of cognizant of the shiny thing in your planning. But then when we've done that level of thinking, that brain dumping, so to speak, it then becomes much easier to then say, right, what am I working with here? And having made some prioritization calls, what should drop out of these lists that are the key priorities and actions for the quarter ahead? So it might be that something actually is quite an important thing, but you know what? That can probably wait until January of next year, and that'll become a priority then, but not now. Instead, I've made some other priorities for this quarter. So that then becomes the plan, and again I would suggest a Gantt chart or a project plan, which basically has the task, the owner, and then a timeline across 13 weeks of which week will that be delivered by. So again, hopefully you can visualize what that looks like. Because then the next part of this whole process is the weekly check-in. Once you've got a 90-day plan that you feel confident is the right one and people are engaged by, then your job as the owner or the leadership team member is to manage by the columns. And what I mean by that is your job is to then say, okay, which week are we in? Have a look down the plan and say, okay, what should be on people's lists this week? What was, are we up to date with everything that's happened before this week? And if not, how do we get that back on track? But we manage by the columns. And that's what helps us drive accountability of ourselves and accountability of our teams so that we can make progress each and every week to the end of the quarter. And guess what? When you're then at the end of a successful quarter of people doing what they said they're going to do, you now look back and say, we said 13 weeks ago that we needed to do this as a priority, and here we are, we're on it. That gives a great feeling of momentum, it gives a great feeling of progress, and with that, confidence lifts. And when confidence lifts in business, then anything's possible. So give you and your team the biggest lift in business that you can give by giving yourself a blooming good 90-day plan and then get moving on it. If you need help with it, give us a shout. In 2 weeks' time, we've got Growth Club at Norton House Hotel in Edinburgh here. There are a few spaces that left that you can kind of come into. But again, even if you don't come to that, do yourself a favour. Just put that discipline in place and start the ball rolling. Till we meet, good luck in business.